Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am back with another video just showing you a different technique on how you can use these large stamps, how you can add color to them, whether it's lots of colors, whether it's just one color. Before, I showed you white chalk using one of my stamps. Today, I'm going to show you colors. We're going to use some watercolors with a blending pen for watercolors. So this is not Gamsol. This is like glycerine. This is the Tombow clear. It's the N00. This is used with their watercolor markers. I'm going to use it with watercolor pencils. It is a great way to blend those watercolor pencils. I find it's easier because I can control it. It's all about control, right? So you'll see how I work with that. The stamp set that I'm going to use is from my collection. This is the Tangled Mandala. I absolutely love this. So many possibilities. We can add more tangles throughout this. We can just add the graphite. We can do an ink smush behind it. All the techniques that we normally do in our paper crafting can be applied to these stamp sets that I have. And again, just to show you, this is the wave of tangles. This is a tangled Christmas. And then finally, a tangle in balloon. Those are the 4 stamp sets that I released. But this one here, we're just going to add all kinds of colors coming out from this. I've already taken care of stamping it. And I've stamped this with my VersaFine Black because that's great when you're doing any type of watercoloring. The watercolor pencils that I'm going to use are by Arteza. These are great watercolor pencils to start out with. There's also, you can use your Derwent ink tints. Now, they're not watercolor pencils, that's ink, but you can certainly use them. And whatever other watercolor pencil you have. You can use this with a palette and put some colors down, pick it up, and put them down that way as well, if you want to do that. So again, lots and lots of possibilities here. I think I'm going to start out with the gem. So let's get started. Now with watercolor pencils, you don't want to put a lot of pressure. Oh, and the paper that I'm working on is Bristol Vellum. You can use watercolor paper. I like the Canson XL. You can use Bristol Smooth. Any type of paper that takes to just a little bit of water and a little bit of friction. You can use regular cardstock, but you do run the chance of it pilling when you're going back and forth with your blender. And I do like to have a piece of scrap paper right here so that I can clean my blender pencil off in between colors. So again, you don't want to use a heavy hand. You just want to lightly swirl down your color. And since this is a gem, I want to put the darker color on one side and have it come up, and then just lightly along this edge. And with watercolor pencils, I like to get all my colors down and then come back in with the blender. And now I'm just going to put down my light color next. And again, you can see I'm not worrying about this blending. Just want to get those 2 colors down, and I'm going to leave a white area here for my highlight. For my next area, I'm going to focus in on these leaves. So I'm going to grab some greens, and I need one more. Just one more. And of course I can't find it. but I will. Here we go. And I'm just going to focus in on the areas that are open. So I'm going to put the lighter green on the outer edge, and then just a little bit of the darker green along this edge. Again, not worrying about getting close to that line, but just having those two colors there. And we're going to do that to each of these. That's the wonderful thing with watercolor pencils. Just get your color down. Don't be too heavy-handed with it, or else you won't be able to blend it out. But again, just putting that green on the outside. I'm spinning my piece as I go. So it's almost like a production style. You can see how far back my hand is from the pencil end. And I do that to make sure that I'm not applying a lot of pressure. That helps me to keep a light hand. The colors that I'm using, I'm making sure I set off to my right, so that if I need to add more, I can. I don't have to hunt for them. And again, I'm doing this in real time so that you can see just how long the coloring will take on a stamp that has all of this detail, and we're just adding a little bit of color to that. Okay, for these scrolls that are coming out, I will call them scrolls. I do want to grab a purple type color, and I'm going to go with eggplant. And for these, I'm just putting a little bit of color up on the top here. And a little bit down here on the bottom. Again, light hand. And just getting that color down. And then a little bit down on the bottom where this tangle looks like a scroll and it's flipping up. And we're going to do that to each of these pieces. Just going to push those out of my way a little bit. And again, you can see my hand is far back so that I don't get a lot of pressure. You can apply a lot of pressure. I'm not saying that you can't. What I'm saying is that if you do, you have the chance of seeing those lines that you've put down. Now, that does not mean that's a bad thing. But if that's not the look that you're going for, then you definitely want to make sure that you're using that light hand. And again, you can see, I'm not being neat about this. I'm just getting that color down into these places where I want it. And we're at our last one. I'm even keeping the pencil off to the side so that I don't get that point. Now I'm just going to real quick go across, get a little bit of this color down on the bottom. Okay, so that's that color. Now for the insides, I am going to use a gray, and I'm just going to add that towards the inside where it's folding over here. So in this section here, and then along that section there. And you can see I'm not worried about light source. I never have. You certainly can. Again, I will never say that you should not do something. You must create the way you want to create. Because that's the beauty of this. I don't want to think when I craft. Some things I do. But yeah, no, not all the time. Don't want to do that all the time. And our last one, we're going to put that color in there. All right. And I want a pop of brightness for there. So I think I'm going to choose not an orange per se, but an ochre. It's going to be like a yellow. And for that, I'm just going to come along the bottoms and add that there. Again, light hand, just scribbling that across. Keeping that to the bottom. Okay, now the time for reveal. We're going to come in with our blending brush. Now, I just happen to use a Tombow one. There's a lot out there. The Tombow, I know Stampin' Up! Still has theirs. You get 3 double-ended for a really good price. And they do still have them. I did check before this. These are the 2 that I like. I know Dove makes one, and that's refillable, a blending one. So there are choices out there. I just don't use Gamsol with this. I just use a blending brush that's for watercolors, if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to start in the center. I'm going to start along the edge, and in a circular motion, I'm going to start blending my colors and continue out. I'm going to clean off my brush just a little bit so that I can soften that line. And you do have to let that dry because I do want to add just a little bit more of the darker red. Now I'm going to make sure this is clean, and we're going to do the same thing on our leaves. I'm going to start with the darker side and then come over onto the lighter side. And since I'm sticking with one color, I don't have to keep cleaning my pen. And again, I just like to work in small circular motions. I find that gets the pigment moving. And I'm starting on the darker side and then coming over to the lighter side. You can start on the lighter side and end on the darker side. And you can just see how the colors are changing. Again, I'm going to let that dry too, and we're going to work on the purple that we set in. And I'm going to start at the base, and I'm just going to keep blending up until it fades to nothing. Again, start at the base, keep blending up, and then I'm going to start on this side, come down, and I'll start on this side and come down as well. So you can see how we have that variegated look. So again, I'm going to start at the base, and I'm going to bring this up, start at this base, and I'm going to continue to bring this up, start at the base of the color, pull it down, base of the color, and pull it down. And I'm just blending that out, but pulling it down so that it looks like the middle has the highlight. So that's why I'm keeping this to the side. Again, we're going to start down here, blend it up till I get to that opening, blend it up till I get there, push it down, push it down. I love using, and I know I haven't done it in a while, but I forgot how fun it is to use a blender with watercolor pencils and the beautiful results that you can get. And again, always starting where the pigment is and pushing down. So you're actually, when you start down in the pigment, you're pulling it up because it is on your marker that you're using. You can see some I have more pigment than others, and that's okay. That's what makes it different. And now I'm just going to real quick come in and do the flips on the scrolls. There we go. That's what we have so far. I'm going to clean my pen. And again, it's just scrubbing back and forth lightly until it goes clear. And now I'm going to real quick do the inside of those areas. And again, just going along that area and just moving that pigment. It's going to kind of act like a shadow for that fold. But again, nothing too crazy. And you can see I'm just swooshing. You know, no, just getting that pigment activated and letting it fade out into the area. Okay, I'm going to clean. And now we're going to have fun with our ochre. And I'm going to take each petal individually and come up. And you can see just by doing that, it's creating its own shadow. And giving it that roundness. And there you go. We're going to grab that red, whoops. Let me grab that red, clean off my pen. The dark red. I'm just going to add, now that that's dry, I'm just going to add a little more pigment down here. Again, not applying a lot of pressure. And I'm going to come in with that darker green and just add a little more to that edge so we can blend that out. Give us a little more of a contrast. And again, you can see I'm just scribbling that in. But you do want to wait until that's dry. All right, so let's do the red first, or the pink. Just going to fade that out. So I like that. Added just enough. And then we're just going to go over that dark green just a little bit. And there we go. Now this was cut on a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 panel, so this will fit on a 5 by 7. But you can also see the stamp set, I shifted it up, excuse me, off of that card panel. So you don't have to fit the whole thing. We can, you know, stamp half of it, stamp a quarter of it, put it up in a corner. We could do 4 corner stamping, keep the inside opening. So even though they're large stamps, and there's other large stamps out there, we can create them and stamp them in any way that we would want to. But you can see all the beautiful colors. Let me bring that up for you so you can see it. We've got shading, and again, we didn't do anything fancy. We just scribbled it down and scribbled it across. That's the wonderful beauty of watercolor pencils with a blending marker. Now, I didn't add any colors in here or here. Figured they will pop out on their own. And I left the other side of each of the leaves alone as well. So that's our panel there, where I'm showing you how we can work with our watercolors to add colors to our stamps. Again, just another technique for you to add to what you already have and to your arsenal of techniques of adding colors to your stamps. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Remember, enjoy the process. That is most important. Enjoy the process while you're creating your art and have fun with it. Don't worry about what others look like. Look at yours and have fun with it. It's just paper, and paper is one of the best mediums out there. I hope you all have a good day. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you that have bought my stamps, thank you so much. I hope you are enjoying them as much as I am. And please make sure you tag me, either hashtag include a thank you or hashtag Desiree Tangles. I would love to see your creations. But remember what's truly most important for me, guys. Always be creative. And I will see you in the next one. There's more coming featuring my stamp collection and how you can make these stamps your own. Till then.